These were pre-planned operations for a fourth search related to the Travis Decker case, and this can be regards to the murder of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. Again, we have not lost sight of what we're focused on doing, and that's bringing justice to those three girls. We are close to justice being served and law prevailing. During our search yesterday around 15:30 hours, that'd be 3:30 p.m., our search teams did locate an anomaly that was seen in AI imaging from our drones. In closer inspection, when we got that, we did see that it was potentially a shirt. We were able to get units on the ground that did confirm that the shirt was consistent with what we had seen in previous surveillance photos with Travis Decker. So I am confirming the shirt that we saw on scene is a match for what Travis was last seen wearing. In addition to shorts, which were U.S. Rangers shorts, they were also a match, and also personal items to include chewing tobacco that was consistent with what he had chewed, a bracelet, which is consistent with what we'd seen in photos of him wearing. So collecting those items, we've since sent them off to the Washington State Patrol's crime lab. We're hopeful that we'll get those results back soon. I appreciate Chief John Batiste and the Washington State Patrol for continuing to be a constant ally for us. Even in my call this morning, I asked if he could expedite it. I understand the Chelan County Sheriff's Office is not the only agency within Washington State investigating a homicide and looking for quick results back from a DNA test. So Chief Batiste, Washington State Patrol, we appreciate it. We understand there are a lot of pressure. Going through the processing of the decomposition that we found amongst that clothing has been challenging for the State Patrol's crime lab. They were able to get DNA off that sample, and they are comparing it to the DNA samples that we have in place for Travis Decker. I have asked them to take their time, not rush this. This has been a thorough investigation up to this point. We don't want any mistakes made. Our investigative team has continued to be out on the ground today with Washington State Patrol's crime lab team. We've also had members of the FBI's crime lab team out here assisting us. We found additional body parts today to include 2 feet, some femurs, and also some vertebrae. We've requested that these items also be sent off to Washington State Patrol's crime lab for additional testing to be compared. Again, we do not want to rush this process. We'd like to have DNA results this evening, but I understand in the interest of justice to ensure this case is handled properly, we have asked them to stand by, test more samples, and we hope to get those in the next couple of days.
All right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. And this is a story that I just found out about yesterday when they possibly found the remains of this man, Travis Decker, who was accused or suspected of killing his 3 young girls. Right there, you see them in the picture. Back in June, after having a visit, a supervised visit with his ex-wife. They said that Travis went to pick up the kids, and when he didn't bring them back on time, his wife, called the police. And then about 3 or 4 days later, they found each of the 3 children in a nearby woods with zip ties around their, wrists and hands, and with bags over their heads. And the coroner confirmed that these young children died from asphyxiation, meaning they suffocated to death. And since then, June, there has been a massive manhunt in which I knew nothing about. This hasn't been on the mainstream news, or at least I know of. But yesterday, or a couple of days ago, due to some drones flying over in the woods, not too far from where this man killed his own children, they found what you heard the sheriff speaking about on that news conference. They said they found, they saw a shirt that was consistent with what he was wearing, and some other things, chewing tobacco, some shorts that he wore. And then they said they found some body parts, meaning that the body that they found was badly decomposed. And you heard them say they're sending those parts to the medical examiner and the DNA specialist to see if that is indeed Travis Decker. Now, Travis Decker evidently avoided the long arm of the law for 3 months, or, maybe even less, because we don't know when he died. But they did say that, he, of course, was suffering with some mental health issues. And before, as a part of their visitation agreement, I guess he was ordered to get some domestic violence counseling as well as some mental health treatment, which he declined. Nevertheless, that led to him kidnapping the children and doing some unseemly things towards him. Very violent for an individual to kill his own 3 children. And I've been seeing a lot of that in these situations where evidently a person thinks that killing the children would bring more harm to their ex-lover, which is, undoubtedly true. But I find it strange that this wasn't a national story, being that this man had taken 3 innocent lives, 3 innocent children's lives, like President Trump mentioned about, the girl who got stabbed on the train by the mentally ill man. That was very innocent person, a very beautiful. So why are these children, not considered noteworthy by the president? I think that is a further example of, how they pick and choose which crimes to sensationalize and highlight, and then they pick and choose which ones they want to hide. Now, watch this next video. Is give you a little bit more details on how they found them and a little bit more backstory on this manhunt that has taken 3 months. And this video is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just watch.
On camera with me, I want to kind of wrap up a little bit of that press conference. If you were just joining us, then we, of course, are talking to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office. This is the first time that we've talked to him in person since we've gotten a lot of those details from yesterday. So I do want to mention that we, of course, know up here in Chelan County, they have been looking for Travis Decker. Yesterday, they believe they found his remains yesterday. It was around 2:30 p.m. It was up in the Grindstone Mountain area beyond where we are at now. Very smoky up in this area, so it's kind of hard to see that far, of course. But they say that they think they are one step closer. They tell us that around 2:30 yesterday, they were using AI imaging from drones. That was a new technology that they had in this area. Now, with that AI technology, they saw a shirt, took pictures of that, took video of that. Of course, that was something that they wanted to check out a little further. So they brought the helicopter in, brought that team into the mountains, dropped them down, and they were able to get a look at the shirt and shorts that was in the woods in that area. On top of that decomposed body, they say that that was what Travis Decker was wearing whenever he disappeared. So that's something that they were interested in. They tell me that they also found tobacco in that area as well as a bracelet. Now, both of those things, they say Travis would have had on him. There's been pictures of him wearing that bracelet. So those were very big items for them to find, things that really connected them to Travis Decker. One other thing that I want to mention, they say they found more body parts in that area today. They say 2 feet, some femurs, and also vertebrae were found today. So that was all up in these mountains. That's another thing I want to mention. Yesterday, we were just hearing remains. We hadn't really gotten any specifics. Today, they found more. Now that search is coming to an end today. This is not something that they're going back out for tonight. So they say they're actually not really planning on going back out at all. They say they feel really good about this scene. They feel they've logged that evidence. They feel they found everything in that area. They say we have hit the 1 yard line. That was the quote we heard over and over in that press conference. They tell us that this is really that one step closer. Now, I want to reiterate, they have not gotten the DNA evidence back from WSP at this point. They say they want to make sure 100% that the DNA matches Travis Decker from what they found up in these mountains. That's something that could take days. It could take weeks. They say they're not going to put pressure on them because they want to make sure they do every single step of this right. We're going to have recaps throughout the night of this. I want to make sure that we get you all those details. Stay with us. Check with us online. We're going to have everything about this search for you there. Back to you guys on the desk.
Yeah, Brooke, the Fed saying they are confident enough. They're ready to leave town. They believe that this is wrapped up, but they are on the 1 yard line. Brooke, you have stayed on top of this from the very beginning. Can you explain for people watching right now how this shirt could be such a key, especially when they were just looking from drones? What was so distinctive about that shirt that would have caught their eye and made them look closer?
Yeah, it was actually bright colored. That's a video that we've been showing you for the past few months. It was Ring camera video. So you could see him in those clothes. We know that's what he was wearing. So of course, whenever they were out here looking, they were thinking, if it was on camera, if that's what he was wearing whenever he picked up those girls, that is what he could have still been wearing after they say that he kidnapped and then killed his 3 little daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. So that was something that they're looking for. They knew that that could be a pretty easy tip-off if they could just find it. Again, very treacherous, really rough terrain up there. So it took a lot of resources for them to even be able to get this far. Again, it's been 3.5 months, but they say as long as it was a when they found him and not an if, that's what matters in the end.
Great insight. Thanks a lot, Brooke. We will be getting back to you just as soon as you have a little bit more information, which we know you will.
All right. And so there to hear the news reporter giving a little more details on, how they knew it was him. The fact that he had these shirts on, they've been showing the video. They've been following this case for months, and this happened in Washington State. Now, if you know anything about Washington State, they have, a lot of racism there. It's actually the top state for hate crime. So this is definitely a hate crime. Evidently, he hated his ex-wife so much that he decided to take the lives of their children. But this is another example of, the media, mainstreaming some stories and others not. But as the scripture says, in the last days, a man's enemies will be those of his own household. In this case, it was the 3 children and the wife that caused him to do what he did. But evidently, vengeance was swift by the Most High. He probably suffered a horrific death if they're talking about decomposition of the body. Maybe, he unalived himself, shape, form, or fashion. And then, he just, had to end it all because, of course, he was going to spend the rest of his life in a jail cell. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. And if you do enjoy this content and want this channel to grow, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you $1, but what it does is help these videos get more out into the internet space more frequently and with much more regularity. And so I thank y'all for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing and commenting on these videos. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings. Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.